Howdy, YouTube folks. It's your friendly neighborhood girl, Ellen, in her typical fashion. Very masculine presenting, but long hair, obviously, because I wear button up shirts and coveralls. But, anyways, and obviously, I haven't had laser hair removal yet, which I will have, so excuse the face. That's something I really do want, but I've always held a kind of more mask style. Even though, for those of you who don't know, I am a trans woman. Or at least that's how I feel, because I have a very effeminate side, but also very masked, so I'm kind of go both ways. But anyways, I thought I'd make a video because I don't believe I have touched on this topic. And hold on a minute, y'all, I'm going to pause you for a minute. Also, before I get into this video, my emotions have been everywhere, so the last video I did, I've debated whether I should delete it, even though it is a part of how I was feeling, and still kind of feeling that way. I realized that I was, from the other video, portraying how I felt about someone through an app, and finally woke myself out of that realization and deleted it. And that's why it's not healthy to do that kind of stuff, because if you have feelings or care about someone in some form, you should go for it. And I honestly do believe there has been signs, it's just my opinion and beliefs, that are probably telling me to make the leap. But anyways, I thought I'd make a video because the topic I want to touch on today, excuse me, I'm going to pause you one more time. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, the subject I want to talk about today, because I've heard the word closing cycles lately a lot on my For You when it crops up, and I've been watching a lot of different things, so it kind of just brought me to a point of, and I know I probably should be careful about on my For You what I adhere to, I suppose, but sometimes I feel certain things, excuse me, are little nudges and miracles from people where saying where your past loved ones are saying you're protected, so whatever move you make. But anyways, so I wanted to touch on a subject I don't believe I've ever touched, and just getting a drink of water. I feel like this might be helpful for people who feel like they're trying to get out of a negative space, or closing a cycle, as some might call it. And if you're ever dealing with, like, say, a individual in your life, I probably have mentioned this before, but again, I don't feel like I've made a video on it, but I could have, that has narcissistic tendencies. I believe I've mentioned that this person does, and for those of you who know already, you know what I'm talking about. But I don't know if I really need to say it any further than that. But anyways, or just like anything like that in general, a negative person in your outlook that may leave scars on you from, say, your childhood up, someone you've always been around, a family member. Just really try to pick yourself up the best you can and work through those emotions, because I'm slowly realizing I need to work through those emotions, because when I lose, part of my emotion process is when I lose somebody I really care about, that I felt was always there for me, whether I was always the nicest person on earth, like when my grandmother passed away, especially my grandfather. I'm the type of person where it really hits me badly, and I just can't help myself. And so I'm slowly still working on that. It's never easy, but it gets better. But a logical part in my brain says, well, they're older. They were older, and older people, it's just time. People will leave when they leave this earth. But another part of me also knows that my negative headspace is due to holding on to negativeness from said person, And the advice I can give you is just work through that and really get yourself out of that and go into a more positive cycle and go achieve and attack what you want instead of being negative. I feel like the last video kind of highlighted why I have a hard time expressing my emotions and why I feel bad that I used this app projecting how I felt about someone through the app, thinking I was talking to them because I had similarities because my mind wanted that to be true even though it wasn't. And I think that's kind of where my brain was at. And like I said, I think it stems back to some childhood traumas I've had around said person. And it's taken me a long time to admit that with myself. So that's something I can say for any of you YouTube folks, is especially if you're younger and you're dealing in situations and you don't like the dynamic. I totally get it. I've been there for you, and I think you just need to work yourself out of it in the best way you can, in my opinion. And just know that things will be better and try to work through those emotions. What really helped me is a therapist, because therapy really has really helped me work through some of those things. And I've had a built up anger and animosity due to my childhood and things that happened around a family member, a parent, and no, not my mom, the other half. But said other half, and I don't even know if I feel like saying it, but I did anyways. And you can put two and two together who I'm talking about. He was very, I'll do that so you know, has always been very narcissistic, in my opinion. And when I was a child, we were always so worried when said person would come home from work, if they were going to be upset or angry, and how they were going to act. I don't think they would have ever hit my mom, but definitely worried about how they were going to verbally be, because what mood they were going to be in. And they were going through some things, and I just remember one time as a kid being so afraid because said person was mad at one of my siblings and grabbed a pewter mug that I can remember to this day, and I basically intended to hit them with it, but it had missed them by an inch. And after that, that was my favorite pewter mug, by the way, when I was a kid. After that, after so many years, I decided to throw it away because of just all the horrible memories behind that mug made me dislike that mug so much that one day I just threw it away. And I feel like in a way that was a good thing, but I also feel like in a way that could have been a bad thing, because I didn't work out my emotions with the pewter mug before I threw it away. I just threw it away out of a fit of rage, because I thought an assumption that it had come from my a grandfather of mine on my dad's side. And anyways, I came to learn the assumption, if I had interpreted it correctly, that it didn't. And that's why I always thought of it as my favorite mug, because it came from him in a memory, and it wasn't. But after really learning that and knowing that, made me want to throw that mug away, because of the bad memories that mug held, and that day always used to replay in my head. And it was so horrible that I had to witness that as a kid and watch the struggle to stop it from hitting my brother, who was down in the driveway off of the porch while said person was on the porch. And I got to be careful because I still live with said person and I don't want that to be out. But anyways, so that was a memory I didn't think I would actually ever share, but I felt like I needed to share it because I felt like it's a memory that would give context to why I've always felt the way I've felt. And so I've always held on to that kind of stuff. And I think for anyone who holds on to like memories like that, you know, sometimes you just have to know when to let go. I swear I've been seeing signs of miracles that could be happening for myself around everywhere. Take it as you will. I'm a very spiritual person in a sense, but in a different way. Not like the norm of spiritual, and I try not to get into that too much, but I can say that anyways, I feel like I'm seeing signs of like miracles are going to happen. And so I've really been putting myself in a positive state. And also, not to get too deep into the religion, I said I never would. But if you find some sort of outlet in that retrospect, that aspect, I should say, of life in itself, that please do whatever it is, if it helps you. I wouldn't say get into a cult style of one where you get set in one way and you think everything's getting this way and you're just always paranoid. Don't do that by any means. But like, if you find a healthy one to get into, you should invest in it because it will help you. I've found that things that I do in my life, routines that I do, really help me humble myself. And I do believe that there's times I've needed to humble myself because of my actions and things that I have done that, believe you me, in history, as I've stated before, if I could rewrite myself, I would rewrite myself into the most better person that I could ever be. It's just I had so much built up trauma from a younger life that ate away at me for years and made me a negative, morbid, depressing person who made bad choices and things that I did. And I don't really want to get into all those bad choices, obviously, and I wouldn't. I mean, I've done some things I'm not proud of, but I don't feel I need to say them. I know that I'm not proud of them, and I worked my way out of them. I have demons in my closet. I'm a skeleton walking, if you want to go that way. But anyways, just finding something to get you out of that. Like I said, therapy especially. And just having a routine in your life. And if you can take anything away from this, I am currently 33 as of this past month. Obviously, I won't tell you what day and year for say I was born, but so I have learned as I've gotten older that I need to work through and all the things that I internalize and I want to change because I'm at this point in my life where I've been single all my life, and if those of you who are my age and been single all your life and feel the same as I do, you'll totally understand. And I think this would be good advice for the younger people. Is I'm just so sick of being single, but I've been waiting for the right person. And like I stated in the last video, I feel like I may have discovered the right person. And I just need to work on fixing that. See if there even is a second chance. See if I can make it work. And also know if you think say if you're younger and you're in your 20s or younger and you think you've found that person, go for it and try to make it work. And don't let all your past things get to you. But for someone in your youth in general, like say you're under your 20s, if you're having a rough life in your home situation or anything like that, find outlets to better and make yourself feel better so you don't go I feel you should do so you don't go through the stuff like somebody like me has done. Like make mistakes and things that you look back and you go, why was I like that? Or why did I act like that? Why did I do that? Why did I choose to make that decision? In retrospect, I believe being an adult and being 33 years old, I've gotten wiser as I've gotten older. But it took me time and studying myself. I never went to college, and I regret that because I believe if I had gone to college, I probably could have pursued a better education. But I'm at the standpoint in my life where I probably couldn't even really afford college if I even wanted to. But if the opportunity arose to where I could afford college, I would probably go back. But I'm not quite sure what I would major in. I mean, psychology has been something that I've always been kind of intrigued by. That how the human brain works in different aspects of people, because I've always been interested in it, in psychology and human anatomy as well, how the body works and how it functions. But one thing I can say as growing up into an adult, I've learned is that you have to that you become wiser as you get older, I feel like, and you just start to realize that the things that have happened in the past are in the past and they're there. They happen. You could sit there and relive the memories if you remember them. And obviously, sometimes if you think hard enough, most people might remember stuff like that. But is it really worth it all? Is it really a saving grace? Is it really going to bring you forward in your life? And I'm especially preaching this to youth because I feel like you're still young now, so you can make sure you don't do that stuff by seeing and learning from what other people have done, to say to yourself, I don't want to be like that. And so if you get to that thought process and you work through that, then you won't be like that. If you get what I'm saying. And so I would hope this would resonate with younger people. I would hope a younger audience would see this video and go, this will resonate with me, maybe, and they might take something home. I'm an adult, and I don't fully understand what the modern youth goes through, I don't think, because I'm not in high school anymore. I was in high school in the mid-2000s. I mean, I'm a product of the 90s and early to mid-2000s. So I can't really say what life is like in high school nowadays. All I can say is just I hope a little bit of this will help you feel a little bit better. Coming from someone who's older and has, I feel like, gained my own knowledge in things. And I believe as you get older, for all you people that say you're like 15 or younger or whatever, for example, or 18 or younger, you'll get to that point where you gain so much knowledge over time that you'll say, oh, this is what I need to do in my life. I believe everyone in their life at some point, and it's just my opinion, but one can disagree with me, is going to have moments maybe where they need to humble themselves and say, what should I react? What should my response be to that moment? Should I freak out and go this way and just spit it out, or should I calm myself down? As a 33-year-old, I've learned how to calm myself down and get into a more chill headspace, but I've also learned when I need time to relax and gather my thoughts and sit in front of my TV or listen to vinyl records, for those of you older people who know vinyl records, and some of you youth that have probably experienced the vinyl, because I do know it's coming back. I think the Aries tour of Taylor Swift has been released on vinyl, and I believe cassette tape is also coming back. Most of you younger people, unless you're really into that stuff, probably don't know what 8-tracks are. I'm surprised at my age. I even know what an 8-track is, but I kind of remember seeing them circle around as I was a kid in the 90s. So there was still kind of a thing. And in the early 90s, I believe they still kind of had 8-tracks to an extent for like New Kids on the Block, but that was before my birth, because I was more of like early 90s, but not direct early 90s. So what I can say is just, while you're young, think about everything you do, everything you say. When you're mad at someone, think about that. Was that right of me to be mad at that person? Would me holding animosity towards that person really help that situation? Will that really help me in the end? Will that really make me feel better for saying it? Even if the person was never or never has been their best light, I believe a part of you always needs to have a little forgiveness and empathize with them and say, well, this is how they are, but I just won't be that way, because I don't need to be like that. If I'm that way, that's not going to serve me. See, that was the problem I had when I was younger, I think, because I've always internalized things, is that I just didn't know when to keep my mouth shut and when to know when to back off sometimes. Because when I was really young, I was very quiet, but then I went through a stage where I felt so angry that I wanted to direct my anger out on everything, and I would say things I'm not proud of. But that's just is what it is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's a point in your life where you need to just accept things for the way they are, and also know that if you want things to change in your life, that, again, letting your past direct your life is not going to change it, because the world does not stop for you, is always the motto I've lived by. And so if you're going to stop while the world keeps going, the world is going to keep going, and they're not going to want, and the universe is not going to say, oh, I'm going to stop for you because you're in this moment and we need to halt everything for you. It may seem like your world is going to stop around you because of situations, but don't let your world stop, because if you let your world stop, it's never going to get any better, and you're never going to see results. You're never going to see miracles. I've been slowly working on my life. I can make an update video on some things that are leaving, or you know what, I'll mention it now. For one, the Model A pickup will possibly be leaving. I will be selling that. And the Jubilee tractor that I have that's been featured on my channel, because I need the money for my van. I believe my miracle, or one of my miracles, is that van coming into my life, because even though the van may seem trivial and it's like, oh, but it's an object, I feel like it's an omen, a sign that if I get the thing fixed up like I want to, that I made in my recent video. And for those of you new to my channel, feel free to watch my videos if you want to. That van is an omen sign of my life picking up, because if I make that into my first vehicle and I get myself a steady job and back on my feet, that's a sign that I'm moving myself in the right direction. I would hope to keep that van for a majority of my life because it's cool and it was my uncle's and I would like to hang on to it. But sometimes things happen and we can't plan for it, and sometimes it's not feasible to keep stuff. So it is what it is. But even if, say, I had to absolutely get rid of that van, I would still look at it as an omen, as something that bettered my life, because in a moment when I was down and was taking some time to focus on myself and try to get myself out of a empty cycle that's worthless with negativeness, that van being fixed up and giving me the drive to work on something and know that I was going to use it as at least a first physical roadworthy vehicle like the Model A was going to be, but things got in the way, and now it's just better off. Plus, I think it would be cheaper to fix up that van than the Model A being as old as it is, versus the van being from '89. But anyways, that being, I'll always hold that and remember that was an omen of a sign in the back of my mind. I may not always think about it all the time, but I'll hold it there and say that was an omen of a sign of a cycle that I left, of a headspace that I got myself out of and picked myself up. Kind of like I've said before, a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm human. I'm me. I'm normal. I do what I do. There's things I want in life. Everybody does. We all have wants. We all have needs. I think you can achieve a majority of that if you set your mind to it and you keep the positive in miracles. And always keep the dream alive. And like I said, just throw all of anything that you're dealing with, cast that aside. Like throwing a stone pebble inside of water and watching it skip away. Let all that skip away from your life and just know that that's not going to define your future and that's not going to stop you. I came from a background where money was tight when I was a kid, shifting from place to place, trying to make ends meet. But now my life is more comfortable since living in my grandparents' old house, and it's not as bad. I don't have to worry about moving from place to place, but I have been, as I've stated, at the current point, jobless because I'm working on trying to get a set of wheels going. But see, that's what I mean, is working on that will really benefit you. So whether it's some sort of object or some opportunity, like say it's a first job for you that gets you on your feet in a career you want to be in, look at that as an omen of like, I started there, I went to that, and then wait until your life blossoms and you get over to this point and you're way up here, and then say to yourself, I started down here and up there like an office worker. Say an office worker really wants a position up here at the top, but he or she starts in the mailroom. I believe that's an omen of the stepping stone, and to not forget and always humble yourself and remember where you came from and then how you rose up to this point. You went to the top. You finally made it. You got yourself in the abundant cycle and everything that you needed to be in order to focus on your own positive vibes, to be in a better headspace. Also, being able to channel in interests. Like if there's things you're interested in. As me, I'm interested in music. I like music, I like cooking, poetry, books. I'm into sewing, even though I haven't done much of that. I really only do it when I need to. Because I admit this is a world of, I believe a lot of people call it fast fashion. I call it quickie buy from the store. Like majority of the things I wear. Not a lot of people really sew and make their own clothes anymore, per se. But you know what I mean? Just like, excuse me. Sorry, I had a message. I'll deal with that after. But like I'm saying, you know, just get yourself to that point. Just focus on things like that. Let those things be your savior, your light. Bring you into something. Even if, say, you're somebody like me who may not necessarily end up with a love partner, or even though that might be something you crave, or you may be single for a majority of your life, just know that that may be a time for growth and focusing on all of your needs being met. And that it will happen for you if you want it and you say it will. And you have to hold in that. I mean, I love the house I live in, and don't get me wrong, but I never really planned it to be staying here forever. Not that I haven't enjoyed the time I've lived here. I mean, I've lived here 15 plus years. After I got out of high school, I came to take care of my grandparents, lived here for a little bit, went away for a little bit, then came back. So I think it's been over 15 years that I've lived in this house. Slept in the same bed, finally have a bed frame, my grandfather's old childhood bed frame. That was painted white by my grandparents. I kind of wish they'd left it in the original brown because the white is peeling, but someday I'll restore it. And I'd like to find the correct type of rails that are made for this type of bed frame because I can't find the original ones. They may have accidentally got tossed out, but the ends saved. But it's a really good bed, and I have it rigged so it works on with a fold-out cot style bed as my box spring underneath my mattress. And it works for me. I do need to replace my mattress because admittedly it's got a hole in it, and I've got one behind me leaning up that I've been meaning to swap it out with. That will fit this older type of bed. But anyways, you know, so I can't say that it's been all bad. I've lived comfortably in here. The only drawback about this room I will say that I want to work on someday is that it tends to be fairly cold in this room because I think the windows need redoing. They were windows my grandparents had put in, but they're older now, and it's been a long time since 97, 98. So what I can say is just, yeah, just know that if you're in a space now, that's going to be different and it's going to change. And like I said, I may not live in this surrounding forever. I may find my ideal better setting and that's what it'd be. Right now I view the 2 rooms that I have as like an apartment space. I'm decluttering a lot because obviously I let my hoarding collecting kind of be a comfort for me, so now I'm trying to declutter a lot of stuff and I'm slowly getting rid of things, thankfully. But you know what I mean, like you may live in a space like this may be your apartment area wherever it is, but if you have a dream of owning a house, for example, just know that that will happen if you keep saying to yourself, that's going to happen someday. I'll have my own place and I won't forever be in an apartment, or I like to call this my crash pad because obviously that's what it's been for me for the longest time. And now that I've got a living room quarters, I have 2 places. It's kind of nice. That's where I watch my TV, got my vinyl and everything, which I'm normally sitting in. But as you can see today, I'm sitting on my bed. So yeah. Anyways, YouTube folks, I think that's pretty much going to touch on this video. I hope that my advisory is very of usefulness to you, very helpful. This is something I've wanted to do more of for this channel when I feel inspired, because I feel like it's something that I need to talk through, because not only does it make me feel better talking through it, it makes me feel like I'm helping someone else feel better about their situations and their things, and just knowing that things will get better for you if you let it, and that you can't always harbor onto things. And I'm slowly getting to that point, because again, like I said about my grandmother's passing especially is the most recent one I can think of where I was really, really heartbroken, other than the cat. Not that it was for my grandfather or my brother, you know, that was heartbreaking obviously, but you know what I mean, like being there caring for her and seeing that happen. So anyways, yes, I think that's where I need to end it, because I think I've said enough about this. It's already almost 34 minutes and 10 seconds. As always, if you wouldn't mind, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you wouldn't mind, I said that already. Also, don't feel obligated is what I meant to say. Sometimes I have to think about what I'm going to say, but happens when you get older and you have to think a little bit. Short-term memory loss. That's what I blame it on. Excuses. Older. But anyways, don't feel obligated. If you wouldn't mind hitting that notification bell, full notification would be wonderful. I would love that, because then I would know you would get full notifications if my videos really struck your fancy and really intrigued you and really were cool. I know I haven't been doing a lot of mechanical videos, but as I used to, but I've kind of phased out of those because I'm not really into them as much. But you might see some mechanical videos, I'm pretty sure, on the van that I did a recent video on, because I will be doing some work to that, and I will be working hard on getting that going. But if you don't want full notification, that's fine. I'm okay with that. And no notification, that's fine too. And if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, but you don't have to feel obligated to like my videos. This is not an obligation space. I created this space not to be obligational, because that's not my goal. I'm not, as I've said before, and I want to say it again, I'm not looking to be the biggest YouTuber on earth, because I don't want to have to keep up with this and in that way, and have to make sure that, oh my god, this doesn't seem quality enough of a video. This is not enough of me, and I need to do this, this, and this. And yes, I want my videos to be as quality as possible. And so if there's anything I can work on, please feel free to tell me. I am trying my best to make them that. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't want to feel under that pressure of, like, say, a YouTuber who gets it famous and becomes big. Because that was never my intention with this. Because originally my intention was to start YouTube as a form of just documenting what I was working on. And then I've lately been in a cycle where if I feel there's something I want to talk about, like updates with my life, my transition, or things I feel will be helpful to other people, because that's kind of the mentality I've been in since I've been trying to, like, pull myself out of negative headspaces I've been in. That's kind of where my mind is at. So that's why I created this. And so obviously you will never see me try to sell you merch, try to sell you any fancy mugs, or ask you to donate to my channel. Even if I was down and out, I wouldn't do it. You just wouldn't see me for a while until I could make the afforded funds to keep said apparatuses like internet and stuff like that going to make these videos, or record the videos but not upload them until that was fixed. Or if I didn't have a phone because I couldn't afford it, which thankfully I can, and I'm grateful for that, and internet comes out of my monthly Social Security. Anyways, yeah, so I don't have that worry as much, so I don't have to worry about that problem. But if it did arise, you know what I mean, I wouldn't be on the YouTube like, oh, I'm about to get shut down, donate me money, give me money, because that's not what I'm about, and I don't want that, because again, I don't want to be obligated to have to keep up with that appearance. Anyways, YouTube folks, as always, have an excellent time, whatever it is, wherever you are. Keep your heads up, stay strong, all that kind of jazz. And the only reason I went on about that last rant about the keeping up appearances like a famous YouTuber type style is because I just want for a lot of the new people to understand why you'll never see me do any stuff like that. And as always, sunshine, unicorns, and rainbows, and I will see you in the next YouTube video, YouTube folks. And I hope you enjoyed this one, because tonight I'm pretty vibing on point. I've been listening to a lot of music lately, and that's been really boosting my mentality, and I'm trying to bring you more positive YouTube videos, but I feel sometimes when I'm not on point is when I get the most inspiration, and videos like this come out and I'm more inspired. But I will see you in the next video, folks.